maybe 3 features here, and we're going to start with the message center. So you probably see if you have, if you've been in our directory for a while, if you've been a member for a while, that you get quite a few emails from different prayer requests, updates. Those things are either being sent here from within this message center by individual members, or it's being sent by our admin team. So what you can do is you can come in to this member message center, and then you can choose different groups to send messages to. So we have a lot of our house-to-house groups in here. We have some Bible classes, other groups like our moving crew, and you can select those and send to all the members that are included in there. If you are a house-to-house leader or a Bible class teacher and want to have a group created, please let us know and we can certainly do that. We don't necessarily have groups for everything today, but we're happy to create them when somebody wants to use them. Most of the time, though, we're going to use all current members, and and what happens when you send that is that it's going to be moderated, so it's going to send that message to our admin team. We're going to review it and then approve it for distribution to everybody. That tends to happen pretty quickly, usually within a day, oftentimes much faster than that, half day or so. But you compose it just like a regular email. You can attach files too, although nothing very large because there is a 5 megabyte limit, and then you'll send it. Like I said, if you're sending to all current members, there is a moderation step, so don't expect to see it right away. But if it's been a day and you haven't seen anything, please let us know, and we can take a look and see what's going on. So that's the message center. I also want to talk about the directory, because that's one of the most common things that we get requests for access to. Directory, of course, has all of our current, many of our former members included. You can search for current and former members. But you can download the whole directory, multiple different formats, especially with and without photos, or a compact version to PDF that allows you to, just print a couple of pages with everyone on it. You can also download it electronically to your address book. Works great from your phone just to download the whole directory. Then you've got everybody's contact information right in your pocket wherever you go. Now, along with the directory is going to be how do you update your information in the directory. So if you click My Account Settings over here on the right-hand nav bar, that'll take you to a screen where you can update information for your family, like your address. And then as a head of household, you'd be able to see your entire family. But if you're not, you would just see your own record here. And you can go through, you can update your phone numbers, you can update email address, which we especially want to make sure those are accurate because those are the primary ways that we're communicating with each other. And there's a number of other things you can add here. I would point out that you're also able to add photos. We tend to only keep photos at the family level or the individual level for those that are families of one, but you can upload your own photo here. There's a size limit, so just make sure that you're complying with those guidelines or it won't take your picture. If you have a picture that's out of date, you can remove it. So if you click the remove and then update, then you can come back in and add a picture at the family level or the individual level if you already had one or two. So that's updating your directory information. Also want to point out that if you participate in public worship and some other volunteer tasks, you can specify which of those you want to participate in here. Men and women will see different options. But you can select which things you're willing to help participate in. Checking these doesn't automatically get you assigned. There is, for many of these, there's still an approval step, say for like song leader or something like that, where there may be a training class involved. But certainly clicking these ones that you're interested in participating in will let the deacons who coordinate those things know, and at some point you'll get included. But although if you have selected those and haven't heard anybody from a while, it doesn't hurt to ask either. But that's the way that we are encouraging people to let us know how you want to participate in worship. And then when you can't participate, so say you're going to be out of town or you have other commitments, you can add those in here so that you don't get assigned to different tasks while you're not available. So great option to do that there. You can update how you want to be communicated with the different automated emails, whether or not you want to get email or text or both, as well as getting regular updates. So I would say, while we're talking about job roles and participations and all that you can. There's a lot of other things over here you can see that we're not going to spend time talking about. Member-only files, supported evangelist reports, but I will real quickly point out the job assignments piece because this is important for those of you participating in public worship, that you can see a calendar of everyone that's been assigned. And what's great is that you can also subscribe to your job assignments individually. So come in here on your phone, click that, and it'll add it to your calendar. Well, you'll regularly see all of your assignments come in and be pre-populated on the days that those are taking place. So it's a great way to keep organized, make sure you don't miss or have an assignment sneak up on you unexpectedly. So that's a quick overview. There's a lot more that's in here. Encourage you to get signed up, get onto the website, start taking a look. Let us know if you have questions or if there's more that you want to see, but we hope that the website's useful to you for interacting with each other and showing our love as a family of God towards each other. All right, thank you.
By that recording, but we appreciate Andy on there. So there is something on that website bar that he showed too, and supported evangelism is some of the things I'm going to be talked about. When we appointed deacons last fall, that enabled a little bit more narrowed focus in some specific areas, and so I've been asked to kind of jump into this area a little bit and hopefully kind of work with us and bring to light what we're doing with these men and hopefully do a lot more with them. Currently, we're supporting 8 men in 6 different countries. You can see this, and we've got this in the welcome loop now. You're starting to see those scroll around a little bit, so try to keep those pictures fresh and everything else. But in all, we generally spend between $30,000 to $50,000 a year when it comes to helping other places or other causes or other men. Some of that's flood relief, hurricane relief, like some of the things we've done. But also, we just shy of 30,000 have a commitment to these 8 men that we're supporting right now, that month to month. But I tell you what I'm guilty of. These were kind of just names on a map and people we send money to. And that's not how it should be. That's not the first century example that we see. We see financially supported patterns, but we see sharing in the work. And so some of the things that we have as a couple goals going forward is pretty much twofold. One is to what we can do with these men, fully and totally support them in the work of evangelism. And that means knowing them, really knowing them, bearing their struggles, helping them in their participation with them, and then also, knowing what they're doing and where they're at. And we're having some of that. Andrew's been going to Tanzania, Buddy's going to Romania this year, and down in the future, we're hoping to see other representatives and people go to some of the other men we have to be able to get to know them a little bit better. So part of this reboot, these things are going to be looking at that. And then secondly, our goal is really to engage all Livingston members to really hold up their hands, in the work, not just, names on a map and men we send a check to every now and then that the church does. So some of that's going to mean, who are these guys? What are they doing? Where are they at? What's their challenges? What's their struggles? So we're going to try to bring that a little bit more to light, more than just pictures, but also possibly down the road some video introductions, some different Zoom things that we have as far as Skype and some of those things. But we want to communicate with them instead of just having a quarterly or monthly report. We're trying to get more letters from them as well as letters to them. We're in the process. Jaime's got a translation software that we've worked at with the church here a little bit going through that's going to help Buddy in Romania. It's already helped me with Jose Luis in communication, some of these things. But some of you might want to write some letters that we can easily put that over to translation service and be able to get that out in their own language. And that's could be Swahili when it comes to Tanzania and stuff too. So we want to just get more involved with them, really knowing their spouses and families and some of the fellow Christians they work with. They have challenges just like we have challenges, but we want to support them. Now the pattern is for us to support the men, but we want to do that fully and inclusively and totally. So you're seeing some of these pictures now that are going through the loop, but we have Bogdan Luda in Romania, we got Jose Luis Martinez in Colombia, we got Oscar Gamalio, I don't know how you say that one, Leopoldo Aquino, Godwin Muhingo, Zuberi Mawakiyami. I'm getting to know him a little bit better. He's pretty good on things, and he's pretty funny too. I don't know if you guys see this here. Andrew's a great representative for this church. He not only does preach and teach, but he kisses babies too. So I mean, he's a great job for us, So, but then we've got Samson Walker also in Liberia. And then Daryl just came and did a real good presentation a week ago with the guys at the prison work and some of those things too. So what's some of our action steps? Whoops, already to Peter. So action steps there. One is just really getting to know these guys. You can't know them if you don't get involved. And so we're going to try to get these guys their social media accounts, if they'll share them with us, which several of them have, their apps that they use and some of those things. Again, trying to get to know their work a little bit more. But also the things you can do too, just right now, is pray for these men with your daily prayers. And as you read the reports or see what they're doing, their specific prayers, which they need, and be intentional with that. Like I said, write to these men, encourage them. However, letters, email, cards, we can get that worked out. Connect with them, become a friend with them. And then we did update the supported side of our website just recently to where now you have all their email addresses. They got pictures of them, and then all the latest reports by country pretty much are all in there too. So if you want to look at those things and get the latest reports for 2023, you can do that as well. But also volunteer to write them letters if you would, as you get to know them a little bit more and everything else. And like I said, we can handle the translations for them and work with those type things. And then if you are traveling anywhere near any of these men, or you know somebody from a hometown congregation or somebody else that is, then let the elders know, and that we can kind of help support some of those things in some of those areas where we're going to be going close by to them and stuff too. Because ultimately we want to try to, logistically it's tough. You just don't go to Tanzania, without some real arrangements, or Monrovia, just without making some extra efforts. But we're going to try to do that over the years to come with these men's. But if we get people that are traveling in different places, and maybe there's a side trip, then that's something that I'm sure our elders will support in trying to see what we can do to have a representative, be part of that, to hold up their hands just right there in the work themselves, and also verify that what the work is, too. So just would ask that you all get engaged and help us with this reboot and do what we can to really hold up their hands. So I'm going to give it to Peter now.
Well, our evangelists have the titled role of an evangelist at the congregation here, but as a deacon, I help assist them with various tools to make their jobs a little bit easier, and many of you assist me in that as well. And so there's a couple of ways in which we evangelize, or which we as deacons or deacon teams evangelize. And I'm trying to advance, and it's not advancing for me, guys. I'm sorry. Maybe it was turned off. Okay, there we go. There we go. And so there's a couple of ways in which we evangelize. And one of these ways is we evangelize to the guests who are among us in the spirit of what we read in 1 Corinthians 14. And many of you assist me in this, but first of all, I would like to especially honor the leaders of these evangelism teams who you all have seen many times. And so we have Becky Cawthon, Jill Beckstead, Kathy Valdez, and Arlene Morrow, who for the better part of the last 4 years have led our hospitality and guest evangelism efforts. These ladies have put together special communications, recruitment, coordination, training, and management of all the teams that work in the lobby and in the foyer here. And without them, this particular service would not be a success. So a huge kudos and thanks to those 4 ladies for their leadership in that capacity. And I will have them stand up along with anyone, please, who has participated in our guest evangelism or host and hostess efforts here in the auditorium. Will you stand up, please, if you've done that? Because I want everyone to kind of get an idea of the number of people who have participated in that function. Please stand. If you have been a host, a hostess, a guest evangelist here within our auditorium facilities. So just look around. And what you'll see as you look around here are men and women, older and younger, everyone down to teenage levels who have participated. You're not standing. Some of you guys should be standing because you've done it too. Some of your teens have done it as well. Thank you for standing up. And why that's so important, and please be seated, why that's so important is because people who walk into this building span all of those generations and demographics too. And they want to see people that look like them serving in those roles. So I want to thank every one of you who have participated in that role here in the congregation. You have made it easier for us to make people who come in who fill the position of the outsider, as 1 Corinthians call them, you have made those people comfortable and warm and welcome in our midst. And I am personally extremely grateful to each of you. In addition to those people, we have had Caleb begin leading an usher team who has more than 12 ushers responsible for helping people get seated. And that's important because Some of us don't arrive right on time all the time, and we've got a big group of people that's waiting in the back looking for places to sit as our auditorium grows more and more crowded. And so that team of ushers under Caleb's leadership has done a great job. Thank you so much for Caleb. Caleb isn't a deacon here, but I'll include him and what his role is in my quick overview here. And we have a bunch of teens who have all assisted in that function by moving up front and occupying our up front center pews, which none of you all like to sit in. They have done that as a great service to the congregation. And so we want to express gratitude for their role in serving our guest evangelism efforts just by locating their seats in such a place that our guests can sit more comfortably toward the back. We also have a team of more than 25 card writers who participate in writing cards to guests who join our assembly here and submit our invitation through our QR code systems. And every time someone does that, we input their information into the Congregate system that Andy showed you, and their data and their contact information then cascades through, and you all are able to participate in writing cards to them. So in total, we have more than 75 members participating in our guest evangelism efforts here at the congregation, which is a wonderful proportion of our congregation. But we need more of you, because sometimes people are sick, and sometimes people just need a break. And so if any of you want to participate in this critically important function where warmth and welcome are brought to people who come into our assembly, then please email me or email one of our great leaders of those groups too. And I say them again, Arlene Morrow, Kathy Valdez, Jill Beckstead, or Becky Cawthon. And you can participate in that important effort. We also serve in outreach as a deacon group, assisting our evangelists with the tools that they need to adorn the gospel in the best way that we possibly can. And so here's some tools that we have implemented and are implementing. And some of these are forward-looking statements. So not all of these things are things that we're doing now, but these are things that we will do in the near future. We have website content that's curated and will need to continue to be curated to make sure our messaging is clear. We want to do better with search engine optimization as people search for churches they want to worship at. We want to do AdWords and Google Pages, some of which are freeware, which we just need to get up and running. We have campus advertisements when there's special events. We've got signage in the lobby and signage at our street. We have signage on classroom doors which need to be maintained. We have print ads which go out in all different forms and in various media. We have flyers and door hangers and marketing for special events and social media. And we have certainly a lot of long-form video, which is our sermon content, but we also want to do some short-form video, which we can put out in some of the social media contexts. In other words, there's many wonderful advertising media that we currently put out and we need to put out. But let me tell you something right now. In our general population of the United States, 20% of the population are aged between 13 and 25 years old. I don't know how those people talk or think, but those who are 13 to 25, you do. We need your input in curating and crafting marketing messages that reach out to people just like you. And 20% of the population, 22, are millennials. They're aged between 26 and 42. I, unfortunately, don't know how to talk like those people anymore either. But some of you do. You're millennials. And we need your input in helping us craft messages to appeal to millennials because they think differently than boomers and Gen Xers like me. 18% of the population are in my generation. 21% are in boomer generation. They think differently as well. The point I'm making is that we need, and imagine please, a volunteer evangelism team with members of every generation, all four that I've mentioned, and both genders, male and female, and all the races that we need to represent, that we have represented here and we need to represent, working together to build tools to adorn the gospel in a way that best appeals to every kind of seeker. That's the evangelism team that I would like to build with your help. If you're a person who views themselves with skills in that area, please contact me and join me in this effort of creating the messages that will help our evangelists reach the lost. Thank you very much.
All right. So I have been tasked tonight to go over the work that we are doing with our college students. I know the alliteration, I want to say college kids, but we're trying to get away from that. It's college students, although I think some of our college people, they're like, I don't want to be an adult yet, so you can call me a kid. But this is a newer effort in some ways. We've had this effort for a while, but we're going to try and start kind of with a different, fresh approach this year, and we've gone through that. And this is something that Stacy and I, we had worked with the teen thing for several years, actually since we'd been married, and like a lot of things, it's time to sometimes think about, okay, there probably needs to be a fresh perspective on something. And so it was great to be able to hand that off to a great group of individuals that are working with our teens right now. But there was this heart that we had that we felt like the college students that we are blessed with could use a lot of attention that maybe wasn't being provided at all times because we just get busy, and it's hard to get to know a lot of people in this congregation themselves, and much less to try and get involved with individuals that are coming in halfway through the year or something along those lines. So we thought, you know what, this work really needs to have some attention thrown to it. And so Stacy and I have started and been blessed with this year of organizing a team to help with that. And so this congregation over the years has been blessed with many, many, many people who have come through college and decided to stay here. And that is a really neat thing and very unique in many ways geographically for us. And it is a blessing. I at one point was one of those individuals. And I cannot tell you the impact that many of you here, even in this room, had on me when I was 1,500 miles away from home. And so we have now had this opportunity to try and, as they say, pay it forward in many ways. And so we've enlisted several of you to help us with this effort this year. So I've thrown a few pictures up here. I'm a terrible documenter at times, so this is of one of the college lunches. So this is the first kind of attempt that we tried to do, was to start working with our college crew by feeding them, right? The way to a lot of people's hearts is through their stomach, right? And so we were really excited to be able to do this, not just to provide a meal, but to provide that fellowship and that connection. And so what better way to do that than to invite each other into our homes and to share that over a meal. And so we had several of these what we call college lunches throughout the year. And we had some at our house. We had one at our house. The Harts graciously hosted 2 of them. The Kaufmans, the Bassetts, the Croziers, the Kellys, the Barths, the Murphys. I may be even missing one, but we had several of these where we were able to invite our college members over to connect with these families and to bond over a meal and to get to know them a little bit better. And so this is a great way for our families to connect with them as well. I know even like for me who have small kids, it is a great way to introduce them to some great role models as well. And we also did at one of these college lunches, we also did an abbreviated getting to know Livingston class that Edwin did. That was at the Harts when they did the first one that they hosted. And so that was a really great way to introduce us to college students that were thinking about placing membership or wanted to know more about us. And so that was a really great opportunity. Besides lunch, at one of these, like I have up here, the Croziers hosted a bunco tournament, which I had never played bunco before, so that was fascinating. And so that was a lot of fun to be able to do that as well. Let's see here on this slide. I think that's all we've got there. Okay. On the, I think I said that we have 21 people helping with this. Another way that we had connected, I don't think it's on these slides. Oh yeah, it's on this one. Another way that we have been working through this is Edwin has prepared a 4-year program for our college class. And I had the opportunity and privilege to help him with that class, to go through it. Our first trimester that we did this year was on the subject of grace. And it was a very edifying class. I think it was a very helpful class. I really enjoyed it. I hope the college students got a lot from it. And then we coupled that second trimester with the book of James, which actually worked really well, again, with our classes that we've been having here in the month of April. Really was a great complement to that. And so Edwin's got this 4-year program, because college sometimes can be a 4-year thing, right? And so it works out really well for those trimesters that we have, that we'll do those 2, and then we'll take a break in the summer and then reconvene again in the fall. And so Edwin and I have had just a great opportunity to be a part of that. With the college classes, we're hoping to get better with that. So we're going to be doing some debriefing. I'd like to connect with a lot of our college students and ask what went well, what didn't go well, what can we improve, what can we tweak. So we'll be doing a lot of self-reflection in that space. And then also with this college crew of about 21 people that have helped with this, also trying to be honest about where we can improve and do better and get to a better spot with that. I'd like to thank all of those that did participate this year in helping us. Becky Cawthon, Brian and Paige Dennis, John and Jenny Bassett, Matt and Laura Kelly, Gary and Jan Kaufman, Caleb and Stephanie Hart, Edwin and Marita Crozier, Eric and Kim Barth, Grant and Jenny Goad, and Peter and Lauren Murphy. These were all very, very helpful this year in helping us participate with our college crew there. And so we'll be doing that post-mortem meeting with and trying to be to have some good self-reflection there. If you all have ideas, please come talk to me. If you see some needs, if you see some gaps, please let me know. Be happy to take that advice. And so, how can you help? And so, first, pray for our college students. They are in a great time of life, but it's also a pivotal time of life. And just like all of us can use prayer, this group especially can. So in your prayers, be praying for them. If you have a desire to have them in your house, do so. And you don't necessarily have to ask permission to do that. Just do it on your own. But if you'd like to be a part of this more congregational initiative, by all means, come talk to us. Come talk to me. We'd love for that blessing on you. For that to be made available. So by all means, if you'd like to be a part of that effort, that's fine. If you can't be a part of hosting, but still want to be a part of an effort of being involved with some of the planning and other things like that, again, same thing. Please let us know. And then, like I alluded to a minute ago, have them over, whether it's for game night, whether you want to go out on a date and you need a babysitter. They love to do that. Whether it's a matter of having them over for lunch, taking them somewhere, getting to know. They're busy people. Don't get me wrong. So there's a lot. There's a lot going on in college and all that. So if they have to say no, don't get dejected and think that I'm not going to do this again. Keep asking. Be persistent. Be that persistent widow, right? Another thing to do is also keep in mind, don't assume that they're going to a certain college. Find out, ask them what they're doing, where they're going. They might go to USF. They might go to University of Tampa. They might go to HCC or PHCC. They may be going to Florida College. There's a lot of educational institutions in this area. Find out where they're at. Don't make an automatic assumption that they're at one place or another. By all means, ask and be inquisitive and see what's going on. And then stay connected with them through the year, and don't be intimidated by them. They're lovely people, and they would love to talk to you and get connected with you. And they have some really fun stories, some really great stories, and some stories that frankly are good to hear. Some of our college kids have been through a lot in their life, and so you might be in a good spot to also learn something from them as well, because I know I have. And then finally, pray for them. Pray for them some more, as always. Pray for us. Pray for our efforts, and it's a great work to be a part of, and I feel very privileged to do that. So that's what I have to say about our college crew. And again, thank you so much for the opportunity to serve.
All right. So we've talked about evangelism. We've talked about college students. I fit into that as well. But what do we do once we actually get somebody that wants to commit to working with us? And so three of us have been tasked with this new member onboarding services, and that's myself, Michael Gordon, and Stephen Blaylock as well. We have looked at this and recognized that there is a need to have a systematic approach to welcoming new members into our body. I think since probably COVID, we kind of learned to stay away from each other for a while, and we're getting much, much better at getting that line of thinking out. But this is still something as a group, we want to find a way to take that new person and then get them right into the body working so that they will stay with us. Because what we find sometimes, there's two negative approaches that somebody who commits to our body. One, they just kind of fall through the cracks and don't get communicated with to, and then they stop coming. Or you might have somebody else on the other end that gets committed to our body and then sits around and goes, now what? We don't want either of those two cases. We want people coming in and immediately getting to work, because that's what we're all here to do. I should probably go ahead and move my slide here. And so we are tasked, like I said, with that purpose, to acclimate new members into the body and get them functioning right away. Because a part of the body that is not functioning is a very bad thing. That's medically speaking, congregationally speaking. And so currently where we're at with this is we recognize that we have a need. We have various things that take place. We have like the Getting to Know Livingston class. We have meeting with the elders. We have a member packet that gets filled out. But then what from there? Well, that's what we want to create, this new process that allows multiple members of the congregation, not just the three deacons that I said up there earlier, interacting with these new members, whether it's getting to know them on a personal level or building them into the duty roster or getting them in a class to work with an experienced teacher to see how they handle a class or can they handle a class, or just simply building those personal connections that make them feel wanted and needed. And it's essential. If we want growth of our own body, right, we can't just keep looking for new members to plug in as we lose members that fall away. We want to keep the ones here all the time. So up here we have just a few things. This is a very, very brief. I didn't want to give you all the stuff that we've talked about so far, but we have an approach that we want to build, that once a member says, I'm interested in working with you, what are the next steps? And we can say, here are the things that you're going to do, that we are going to do with you. And you can see some of those up there, like meeting with the elders I already talked about, the paperwork, making sure that goes to the various people that need to know. If they check, yes, I'm interested in doing this, is that information getting to that person so that they can go and meet them, so that they can go and insert them into wherever, right? We also want the service options. This is something we've talked about. If a man says, yeah, I can do a prayer or I can lead a Lord's Supper talk, let's get them in right away. Let's not wait until they're that last person on that rotation coming around. Get them working with us right away. We also have things like H2H introductions. That's a big, big part of it. If you are not in an H2H group, you are not fully recognizing or realizing the great benefit that comes from being in an intimate group like that. We want those people getting plugged in right away. We want them with a group so that they can feel that need, get that intimacy, and just feel a part of our congregation. And so what can you do to help? Okay, you've seen what we're tasked with. What can you do to help? First, I want you to propose action items, especially if you are a newer member within the last 3 to 4 years. What are those things that you said, man, I didn't know about this. I wish I'd known about this. Come see Michael, come see myself, come see Stephen and say, make sure you add this to that list, that checklist of new member orientation. Also, I'm going to tell you, this is always a struggle for me because my wife does it much better than I do, but purposefully go meet new members. Seek them out. Awkwardly stand there until everybody else has said hello, and then you get in and say hello. I don't do well with that, but that's what I got to work on. But welcome them into your home. That's the other big part of it as well. So I'm just going to put that plug in. We have, like I said, we've kind of learned to keep people away from us. We want to bring them in. And so get back in the habit of inviting new people into your home. Share a meal with them. If you like to go out and have lunch somewhere, that's fine too. But there's just something about having somebody in your home that takes a relationship to a whole other level. So I'm going to challenge you to do that with some of our new members. And then the last thing is promote your H2H group, or just H2H in general. And if you're not in one, join an H2H group so that way you have that experience to say to a new member or a prospective member, this is what you want to do. All right. But it's an exciting time. We have lots of opportunity to catch people and keep them within our group through this new onboarding checklist. All right. So I'm also one of the deacons that's involved with the moving crew. This is kind of to me, when I first heard about that, I thought, this is an afterthought. This is like low on the list thing, but it's really, really not. And I'm going to tell you why. So let me move this here. So Jaime and I are in charge of the moving crew. And so the way it works is if somebody has a need of helping move somebody, they come find one of us, and we basically put up the bat signal. Okay? We throw it out there to the moving crew and say, we need help on this date to help this person in this way. It's a very simple process, and then we show up and we help, and then we go home, and well, done. Why is it so important? Well, I'm going to take a little liberty here. So Galatians, at the first part of chapter 6 and verse 5, it says to bear one another's burdens. I'm completely taking that out of context. I know that, okay? But the idea is there, though. As a family, what do? We bear one another's burdens. Okay? It can be spiritual, it can be involvement in sin and help somebody through that, but it can literally also mean carrying somebody's couch from one location to another. And what better way to say, we love you, we want you to be a part of our group, than to help them bear their burden. What an amazing way to relieve stress, to help somebody out, to take that burden off of them when we have many in here that can help with this sort of avenue. I'm going to tell you, so we used it probably about 5 times last year. That's not much. That's once every 2+ months. Okay, it's not a big time commitment. We probably spend about 2, maybe 3 hours if it's a really big move. And the more people that help, the less time that is. I mean, we've moved houses in an hour that I had told people spend 4 hours, plan for 4 hours. But many hands definitely makes the work light. But this isn't a great evangelistic tool. If somebody is new to our congregation or new to the area, this often happens. Hey, I've got a family I know, they're come down, they're looking for a church. Can we help them out? And the answer is yes. Yes, it is. It's not just for members here. We certainly should be using it, but we can use this as an opportunity to talk up Livingston, to build relationships, to have somebody feel a part of group. So how can you help? Well, I'm going the wrong way there. So how can you help? Well, join the moving crew. There you go. Join the moving crew. I'm going to tell you that our group is comprised of men, women, and youth, and I put a little asterisk up there. Youth is somebody that's young enough to carry something without breaking it. Okay, that's a judgment call. Parents, please be very cautious with that. But realistically, parents, you want to help teach your kid to learn sacrifice, to learn to serve, be a part of the moving crew and bring them. What an amazing opportunity it is to see a lot of other people taking time out of their day to help move somebody that they would normally have had to do themselves or pay or whatever. But this is an opportunity to help teach our younger ones to serve, as well as those of us who are older, when we go, oh yeah, I forgot I have to move that person on that day, and then you get in it and you feel great. You do. You remember this is what it's all about, is to serve one another. What else can you do? Well, like I said, I need some heavy lifters, like young guys. Seriously, let's be honest, I'm targeting you here. But it's not just the young guys, right? I need light lifters. We have a designated pillow carrier who also serves as a cheerleader for the group. I'm not going to name names, but that person knows who they are. We do need motivators. We also need vehicle drivers, especially if you have a truck. Usually a moving van is included, but trucks are always helpful to save some money for that person. We also need people just to provide snacks and waters. Typically, I encourage those who are reaping the benefit of the moving crew to provide something like that, but maybe that's just an extra cost that it's hard for them at that time. So if you want to be a part of the moving crew and you just want to be the person that says, I'm going to buy you guys a pack of water so you can have it, perfect. You're a part of the moving crew. So come see me if you want to be a part of that. All right. So we also have another aspect of our member needs, our member services, that's member needs. So this is, Brian Dennis is the deacon that's in charge of that. He also heads up the congregational meetings. I'm going to talk just briefly about the member needs. So this is really kind of what you see in the book of Acts when there were some people that were being overlooked and they needed the deacons to come in and make sure that their needs were met. This is really Brian's job, to work with his fellow deacons that are also with him. And how does this work? Well, we have to know that there's a need, and that takes all of you knowing each other. Sometimes you can very easily recognize that somebody has a need, whether it's financial or maybe there's a support that they need. Brian is your point person to go to him and say, you might not know about this, but this is the information I have. Can you help him out? And he's going to make that decision and work with them, and if it's small, he can do it that way. But the key is that he needs to know, right? We can't help if we don't know that there's information out there that needs to be known. So make sure that you are interacting with your fellow Christians. You are looking to see what's going on in their lives, and if there's something that needs to be helped, go see Brian on that. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Steve for the last few minutes.
So it's kind of interesting because 6 of us presented this evening. We have 7 minutes apiece. So thinking about being able to get this done in 7 minutes, I thought, no. So I spoke to a couple of the elders this morning. I said, what happens if we get running long and we're not going to be able to finish? Do you want to continue to go through? And they said, yeah, let's finish up. So basically, I'm pretty much bulletproof. I can talk as long as I want. So, my responsibilities revolve around security and safety. So you may be asking yourself, why do we need security? I'm glad you asked that. November 5th, 2017, church in Sutherland Springs, Texas. Suspect opened fire on the congregation, killing 26. He was described by people that knew him as a normal guy with no warning signs. That is basically one example of 23 active shooter cases involving churches or houses of worship through 1999. The most recent, from 1999, the most recent in 2019, the West Freeway Church of Christ in White Settlement, Texas, which we've all probably heard about. So what have we done to deter an active shooter and provide a more secure environment? First of all, we've installed 9 cameras to monitor the outside perimeter of the property. This camera bank is manned during all services by members of the security team. We've also installed electromagnetic door locks on the front doors of the main building and the front doors of Building B, as well as the rear doors of the main building. These locks can be controlled remotely from the security office by a security team member, and if we see something that looks suspect, we can lock down all those doors with one shot, or we can lock down, periodic doors as needed. We've also installed security window film on the glass entry doors in the main building and also in Building B. This film keeps the glass from shattering. It won't stop a bullet, but it'll keep the glass from shattering and resist attack or deter an intruder for as long as 2 minutes. So that way nobody can break that glass and then try to come in and open the door. What have we done to create a safer environment? Well, we do annual inspections of 25 emergency exit lights and 21 emergency lights. You'll see them around the building, the exit light and the emergency lights. And all the backup batteries are checked and replaced as needed to make sure that they're operational at all times. We coordinate annual sprinkler system testing in the main building, coordinate annual emergency alarm testing in the main building, coordinate annual fire extinguisher inspections, facilitate the annual fire inspection with the Hillsborough County Fire Marshal, coordinate annual riser testing to make sure that our system works properly in case there was a fire. We coordinate the annual tank inspection. There's the big green tank on the other side of Building B that provides the water for our sprinkler system in case of a fire. We also maintain the fire system monitoring panel, which is out here in the vestibule, and it will monitor continually what goes on at all the little stations here and report back if everything is functioning as it should. And also coordinate the associated maintenance and repairs of all the fire-related equipment. Sometimes this stuff busts, you know. It breaks, we make sure that all the sprinkler heads work, we make sure that all the equipment is maintained, that the risers are rebuilt when they need to be so that they're functional, all that. So what's planned for the future? We have the capability of installing additional cameras both inside and out as we need. So at the direction of the elders, we'll look at those opportunities. We want to do active shooter training for all those on the security team. We want to develop a security plan guidelines to distribute to all the members. Just a little one-page thing, what do we do in case, okay? Here's a spoiler alert. If there's an active shooter, get down on the floor. You know, get in between these benches. We want to create a disaster guideline for distribution to all members. What do we do if there's a fire? What do we do if there's a tornado? You know, where do we go? How do we do that? Again, a one-page thing that you can kind of keep with you and have as a reference. We want to create an emergency book that's an easy reference for all safety-related inspections. In other words, everything that we do on a regular basis, on an annual basis, whatever, will be in this book, so we can hand that to the fire marshal. They just look at it and they know what all we've done. I want to begin doing quarterly inspections of all these lights and signs. These batteries burn out at different times. And so just on the quarter, if we can get these inspections done quarterly, then we'll ensure that they're all working everywhere, all over. Replace the compressor that pressurizes the water tank. Thanks to our brother Mike Rika, that's already done. So we now have pressurized water. So how can you help? Report any safety or security concerns to myself or any one of the team members that you see listed up there, and let us know what you have, and we'll certainly look into it and try to fix it. I also want to talk a little bit about children's safety and security. And we're blessed with a lot of children. And our goal is to keep our children safe physically, criminally, and emotionally. Okay? We don't like to think about that criminal part, but that can be a reality, can't it? And who's responsible? Parents, and others, as we can. As we see the opportunities to help with these kids, please take advantage of that. Know where they are specifically and not generally. In other words, not just that they're outside, but where are they outside? Or not just that they're in the building somewhere, but where are they specifically? So where can they be after services? They can be in the grassy area between the auditorium and C building out here in the little kids corral. They can be in the grassy area behind the auditorium. Some of the older kids back there throw the football around, kick the soccer ball. You know, that's a safe place. In the main auditorium or the foyer. In other words, in open areas where we can see everybody, right? Where should they not be? They shouldn't be in classrooms after the classes are over. They shouldn't be in the hallways. They shouldn't be in the stairwells or upstairs. They don't have any business being up there. And they're unsupervised up there, and you know, things could happen. They shouldn't be in other buildings. And I might mention here, teachers don't give the codes to your kids. They don't need the codes. They don't need those codes to get in the doors. They shouldn't be in there anyway. They shouldn't be in the parking lot, and they shouldn't be in the woods behind the building. And you know, the concern is we just want to make sure that we can take a proactive response, because it's so much better to do that than to have to react when something happens to one of our kids. So, be safe. Thank you.